Hello everyone and welcome back to the Ryan Retro channel. In today's video we're going to be once again diving into the secret console and trying to fix the problems we ran into yesterday. I'm also going to be putting together a compatibility spreadsheet so that we can all work together as a community to make notes of what's working well and get all of our games running beautifully. So you might see my laptop appearing in the corner of the screen for this video as I put the compatibility list together, so please bear with me for that. Let's begin with Skyrim. In yesterday's video, I wasn't able to get Skyrim working at all. It kept getting stuck. And I did mention in the video how I had it working perfectly in the past. Let me come over to somewhere a little bit brighter so you can actually see what's happening. So I'm pleased to tell you I figured out how to get Skyrim working, and it was so easy and obvious. I just needed to install the update. Before I updated my Retroid Pocket 5 and lost all my save information, because I am stupid and forgot to back it up, I had Skyrim updated to the latest version. But in yesterday's testing video, I played most of the games without any updates. So it was as simple as that. I just needed to install the update, and now everything works fine again. And I can tell you it will work perfectly, because I put hours into this game on the Retroid Pocket 5 before, and everything works great. Let me just bring the frames per second counter onto the screen for you. You'll see that it is jumping around from 30 to 40 to 60. We can definitely play with this more, play with the settings, maybe lower some settings if you wish, but we are getting a pretty good frame rate, always above 30 frames per second. And when I was playing this before, I played quite a few hours and I didn't experience any massive slowdowns. I didn't experience it dropping to 10 frames per second or something like that. It was pretty great. So on my compatibility list, I'm giving it a rating of great. I won't rate it perfect just yet, as I feel like we do need to test it a little bit more, but with the Turnip 9v2 driver on this emulator with the 1.1.14.534571 update, it's working great. And I don't really have any notes to share for this game, so let's move on to the next one. Next up we have The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, which while it did load, it ran really poorly. So I've now added the 4.04b update, and let's see if it gives us any improved performance. So once again, as we jump back into the game, it's exactly the same as it was yesterday. All of the movements are really delayed, and there's a huge delay between moving it and then the movement happening. The movement actually happens when I take my finger off of the stick rather than when I move it. That is horrendous. I find that most of these updates don't actually improve performance at all, but they can help fix a game that crashes or doesn't load. So for The Witcher 3 on this emulator with the 9v2 Turnip driver and the 4.04b update, I've listed this as unplayable. You could technically claim you could play this, and if you wanted to, you could walk around at 18 frames per second with a 2-second delay on all your inputs, and technically it is playable, but I don't really feel like I'm playing anything right now. And once again, I'm getting that kind of placebo effect I got yesterday, where I seem to be getting used to the delay, and it starts to feel like it's okay. I can't tell if it's a little bit better than yesterday, or I'm once again just getting used to it. I think I'm just getting used to it. And anyway, if you really love this game, maybe give it a try if you want to, because it does technically run, kind of. But I really wouldn't recommend it to most people, and I'm going to list it as unplayable for now. So let's move on to the next game. The next game we tried to run yesterday was Monster Hunter Rise, which just crashed when we tried to open it and didn't run at all. So that's a good candidate for installing an update to hopefully fix it. And let me show you how to install an update. What you need to do is hold your finger down on the game you want to update, so it brings up the settings just for that game. You're then going to choose Add-ons, and here you're going to push this plus button. It will ask if you're installing updates and DLC, or if you're installing mods and cheats. We are of course installing updates, so we will leave that box selected and choose OK, and then it's going to get you to pick the update file. In a lot of cases, you might have two files with the game name, and it might not be clear which one is the update. Some of them have the word update in the name, but for most cases they don't. So if you try and load the wrong one, you're going to get an error message. Error installing files to NAND. Installation of base games isn't permitted. So that's telling you that you're trying to install the game here in the update installer menu, which isn't going to work. So I now know that's not the correct file. Let me once again go to install updates and choose the other one. I'll now choose the bigger 14GB file, and now you'll see it's installing content. you get a nice little progress bar, so you can just sit back and wait for that to finish. I just run into a problem, which is that these updates install to the internal storage of the Retroid Pocket 5 rather than the external SD card, and I ran out of space. So I'm going to have to spend some time figuring out how to get those updates onto the SD card, maybe by moving the whole emulator itself onto the SD card, but until then we're going to have to mark this as unplayable and move on. And I hope somebody in the community will be able to try this game out and let me know, and I'll update the spreadsheet for everybody. So I'm thinking of starting perhaps a Discord channel where we can all talk to each other and update these spreadsheets together. Let me know if you'd be interested in joining a Discord. I don't have any experience running one, but I think it would be a good way for us all to hang out and chat and talk about these devices and also building these compatibility sheets together. So let me know in the comments below what you think about a Ryan Retro Discord channel. And let's move on to another game that I will have space to install. Next up is Dark Souls Remastered, and in yesterday's video there was a weird glitchy lighting effect in dark lighting. But apart from that, the game ran really well and looked really great. So let's go to add-ons, and you'll see that earlier today, before shooting this video, I installed update 1.0.3. So let's get back into the game and see if it makes any difference to those lighting particle effects. Here we are back in the darkness again. Let's bring the brightness right up on this. Once again, when it's nice and bright, it looks beautiful. This is a lovely looking game. And when we get into that darkness, I can't see anything. You can only really see my camera. But I don't see those weird particle effects. Oh, now I can see some on the armor of my character, but I do feel like it's less than it was before. I feel like this update has helped a little bit. I did actually get a comment on the video yesterday saying there is a way to fix those particle effects, but when I was preparing to film this video today, I couldn't find the comment. So if you were the person who commented that, I'm sorry, could you please comment one more time? And I'll add that to the notes section of my compatibility spreadsheet. So with the update installed this time, once again, my verdict is in lit areas, you're going to have a great time playing this game. The frame rate seems solid at 30, but we do have a little bit of glitching or just too much darkness. But we do have some kind of weird lighting effects going on, but definitely much better than yesterday. Well, as we carry on, the effects are getting more noticeable here. I'm not sure that the update has really helped much in this case. I think updates help more when a game doesn't run at all, and we do have a couple more of those to test today. So if anyone has any ideas about fixing these lighting glitches, I will add it to the compatibility spreadsheet, and I will put together some kind of Discord, and we can all help each other run these games well. So now let's jump into a couple more games that didn't run at all yesterday, and see if the updates can save them. So next up we have Wolfenstein Youngblood. When I tried to launch this game yesterday, it just didn't work at all. So let's try and add the update. We're going to install the 4GB update file, which thankfully I do have enough storage left for that one. So let's see how that goes. We got the confirmation that the update was installed successfully. So we're now updated to version 1.5, and now comes the moment of truth. Can we launch the game? Oh, we're getting a picture this time. Bethesda. So we're already way ahead of yesterday, as we just had a black screen and nothing yesterday, so the update is making a difference. Let's now see if we can get into the game and what kind of performance we can get. And by the way, the performance metric on my spreadsheet is just relating to how smooth the game is and the frames per second. Is it running at a smooth 30? Is it running at a smooth 60? It's not related to glitching or artifacts like we saw in Dark Souls. Performance is purely how smooth is the game running. And then if there are any problems, I'll put those in the notes section. We've now got to the title screen, and it seems like we've once again frozen. And once again we've crashed. It's very frustrating. We got so much further than we did yesterday. The update definitely made a difference to get us into the game, but we couldn't actually play. So unfortunately we're going to have to list this game as unplayable for now, but with a bit more tweaking, maybe we can get into the game. So while we couldn't get Wolfenstein working, we have learned that installing updates definitely makes a difference in terms of how far we can get into the game. And by playing around with different emulators, different drivers, and different updates, as a community we can come together and maybe we can get these games running. That is my wish. Next up we have a game I really wanted to play yesterday, but it didn't launch at all, and that is Stray. So I've just installed update 1.6.0. Let's pray for Stray. Come on. We just have a black screen again. It seems like Stray is still not launching, so what I'm going to do now is switch emulator and see if I can get it launching in a different app. Ah, interesting. This is the citrusy emulator, Citron. and it's launching right away, even without the update. So maybe I now need to test the games that didn't launch in Citrin. Through my testing so far, in my personal case, I found that the emulator beginning with Y performed the best of any of the secret console emulators. But in this case, Citrin is able to launch Stray, and there is a third emulator beginning with S. I don't have it installed right now, but I will get it later to do more testing, and I will include it in the compatibility sheet as well. Getting into the game, we're running around 23 frames per second. It's definitely not very smooth. I wouldn't say it's running perfectly, as we're even dropping down to 19 frames per second at times, but it's definitely playable now, which it wasn't before. So for this particular game, check what emulator you're using. You might want to use the citrusy one. So I'm going to now update my compatibility sheet and recommend using the Citrin emulator for this game, and I will list it as being playable. I didn't expect this to happen, so I don't have time to jump into this too deeply right now. I do need to move on to the next game as I'm running out of time in the day, but it definitely seems playable, and if the community can give me more feedback about whether you think it's running great or perfectly in terms of frames per second and smoothness, I will update the compatibility spreadsheet. We of course featured some games yesterday such as Assassin's Creed and Mortal Kombat that also weren't working particularly well, but were technically loading and launching. So we could also test those more in this app too, but that will have to be a topic for another day as I'm unfortunately running out of time. So I hope this video was useful in showing that updates and changing emulators definitely can make a difference in games. Of course we need to test this more, and this is by no means a conclusive be-all and end-all video. I know that the title and the thumbnail says that everything's been fixed, but that's because I came up with the idea for that thumbnail before I started filming, and I anticipated it would go better than it did. So I apologize that not everything is completely 100% perfect, but we have managed to fix Skyrim with an update, we have managed to get further into Wolfenstein, although it's not completely fixed. We have managed to fix Stray by changing the emulator, and this video is more an encouraging sign of what's to come. So if you enjoyed this video, please give me a like and subscribe if you didn't already. As a community, let's come together and work on this spreadsheet so we can all enjoy games together. If you want to pick up your own Retroid Pocket 5 and join the community, then feel free to follow my affiliate link to the official Retroid website in the description below. I hope this video was fun, informative, or entertaining, and I'll see you again tomorrow for another one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.